2. Corona, huh? Hey, everybody, this is Linda West of Living Life. I love helping people become leaders and influencers in their area of expertise so that they can make a greater impact on the world. And I am here today with Jon Buchan. And I had to ask him, how do you say your name? Because I was saying Buchan all this time. So Jon is an email, I don't know, what's the word we want to use? I want to say aficionado. I mean, gosh, this guy is...
I like that word.
Brilliant, right? That's a great British word.
May I say, you're way better at this video stuff than me. That was one hell of an introduction.
My
introductions usually start with me going, should I talk yet? And then everyone's going, yes, talk.
Well, I've done a few videos, Jon, just a few.
So I guess, yeah, I'm able to get the attention of busy people. And that can be by email or LinkedIn or old school letters. There is a way of writing and speaking to, but writing especially, that gets people's attention, especially in the world of business, where everyone's been convinced that B2B stands for boring to boring. And people are but
I never heard that one.
I wish that was mine, but everyone's scared to even put a smiley face in their emails, you know, and I found it years ago and I was like, oh my God, I found a hack. If I write like a person, people respond. And I can't believe that I made a following out of this. Like, it should be obvious, but it's that's the way we are.
And you know what? It should be obvious. And it's funny because I know when I was talking to you, I noticed that my writing was so different than when I do a video, for example. It's very much different than when I write. And I want to blame that on somebody, but I'm not going to. I'll blame it on
I think it's... I imagine like 100 years ago, it wasn't like that to a degree. I can imagine it's a little bit different, but now I think it's the culture of like corporations and well-crafted PR and all of that kind of stuff. And sort of people being worried about sort of legal problems. And I think there's lots of conspiring things, but the corporate world has a lot to blame for it.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I was in corporate for 20 years. I was a proofreader for 25 years. And so I think because, I had to think more, because I was legal, right? So I had to think on the legal way of writing. Anytime I wrote letters for my attorneys, I had to make sure that they were in legal terms. They had to sound professional, and out the window went personality, and you reintroduced me to being me. So thank you so much. It's so awesome.
That's no problem. And you've introduced me to this. So the other thing, speaking of lawyers, though, they actually, in a weird way, some of the funniest letters I've seen are legal letters because they're so polite in how they say things. So I remember 1 years ago, and I'd moved from one agency to another. And the previous agency, they had like a no-compete clause. And so I wasn't meant to go to another marketing agency. And they had all sorts of claims like I'd stolen clients and all this kind of stuff. And the lawyer, my new agency's lawyer, wrote back to the other lawyer, and there was just one line that I always remembered because I thought it was beautiful. And it said, "With respect, you are stretching the bounds of credibility." And I thought, what a brilliant way of saying you're being an idiot or whatever. So sometimes legal letters can be hilarious.
Well, it's funny. They probably took about a half hour to write that.
Yeah.
And you know what I just realized, Jon, is because we're on Be Live, which I love Be Live. It's an amazing platform for video, and there's some things behind the scenes that I have to do that I forget. So all this time on the screen was not you and me. It was just a picture of, hey, we're going live at 10.
Nice.
So I just remembered, oh yeah, I need to put us up there. So I want to first of all, I don't even know how I found your group, because the name of your group is nothing that I really would have been looking for on Facebook. So the name of the group is Charm Offensive, and then it says, what else does it say? Like all these.
At the moment, it says effective cold email, direct mail, and ad copy.
Okay, and that doesn't interest me at all.
Yeah.
So why I found it, I don't know. It's really strange.
I can remember. I can remember exactly. I posted on, there's a group, I think, Badass Marketers and Founders. And it was either the post that I did on how I got to the top of Reddit or the post on how I got on Kevin Rogers' podcast. It was one of those two. And you made a comment and it was literally about I thinking about it, I don't write like I speak. And then I responded to you and then I messaged you, and then here we are.
Here we are. Oh, that's right. You wrote me a message. You said, You are so comfortable on video. I want to be like that or something.
Yeah, something like that. And then I think we got talking because you said like, yeah, I don't know what happens to me. I start writing something, it's not me at all. Because I remember I watched a live of yours, and you were just singing happy birthday to people, and I was like, yeah, she'd be a good writer. And then you were like, yeah, it just doesn't come out when I write. And then we got talking, and here we are.
And so I'm starting to incorporate it, but of course it's like that muscle, right? The brain muscle, it still wants to kind of go back to its old ways. So I have to retrain my brain to be who I am when I write, as well as how not that I speak well, but to write the way I speak, whether it's well or good or whatever the right word is or not.
There's a way. It's a learned thing, isn't it? It's a learned skill that we, it's not something that we naturally do. Like as children, we don't write formally. There's a great video actually of I think what's his name, the guy that does the So Dirty Jobs, Mike Rowe, is it? And he's got he did this video on Girl Scouts cookies. This girl had written a letter to one of his rich friends. And it was basically a sales letter selling the cookies, but it was the most honest thing ever. Like it reviewed all the cookies, and it was so funny. And it was like, I was like, yeah, this child that's like 11 is better than most adults at writing for sales, because she hasn't got that like, I've got to be serious. I've got to delete this, and it's just much better not to have that. I'm the other way. I can't write corporate. Like I took on a corporate copywriting gig last year, and the idea sounded good, what they presented, but when I had all the guidelines I had to stick by, I just had to tell them I can't do this. My brain just goes, no. So I'm the other way around.
I don't want to follow. Okay, so let's see. We have a couple people here. We have a couple people on board on the screen, so I'm going to show. We've got Ange Wilcock. I met Ange. Ange's from New Zealand, and I met her in another group. And one thing I love about Facebook especially is that it gives us an opportunity, and you're in England, it's 8 hours ahead, you're having a beer. It's morning for me, I'm not having a beer with you. What kind of beer are you drinking there? Is there like an English beer?
Desperado.
Oh, I hope that doesn't say anything.
That's fine, no, I'm in a good mood today. I'm in the best mood I've been in a long time. I think you saw in the group today, I posted finally put together a course, the outline of it, and as I was doing it, I just realized like this doesn't feel like work. I'm like literally so excited to put this out, and awesome. The only thing is I can't believe I've got to do like a video sales letter. I was like, I'm going to be one of those douchebags on the Facebook ads when you're scrolling through, and I'm like, I don't want to be one of those people. But other than that, I'm so excited to put this out there. Like I know people, if they take it, they're gonna. So I'm in a great mood, which is why I'm celebrating. I've been working hard, and it's all paying off.
Yeah, that's really the key, right? Is to keep pushing forward. Like so Anne, she says she's English too. So Julian was on. I'm not sure if he's still on because we did come on a little bit early. He is on. There he is. Australia checking in. Awesome. What time is it in Australia? They're like 13 hours. It was like 11 p.m. over there in Australia. What time is it for you guys? Do what?
In the future.
Yeah, exactly. You're living in the future. So I did ask you this question. So do the Brits celebrate American Independence Day?
I don't think so. No, I don't think we do. I think we would take any chance to celebrate, but I don't think we do.
I think it'd be brilliant, don't you think? Like, yeah, we're celebrating their Independence Day.
I've actually got an email for someone going out that I helped, and she's moving to Los Angeles, and I've been working on this cold email for her, and we realized and the whole theme of the email is that she's a stranger and she's a Brit, and she's like coming to invade their inbox, and I was like, it's the 4th of July, this is perfect, let's send it the day after. And it starts with something like, of all the public holidays and all the calendars in all the world, I chose the day after Independence Day to stroll into your inbox. The Casablanca line. So that's, we don't celebrate it, but I've taken advantage of the day to help someone out. It's the perfect time to send that email.
I love it. That's awesome. That's so awesome. Oh, it's 1:14 in the morning. Thank you so much for being awake, Julian. Let's see, we're English. We celebrate every day.
Yes.
So I want to talk about the email. I'm not sure if this is the email that got you started, but there was an email that you sent, and you tell this story all the time, and I love to hear it. So why don't you go and share with us the story of how you kind of like either got back into it, or you like tell me that part too. But it was a story about a night that you were really drunk.
I ran a digital marketing agency, and because I used to work with digital marketing agencies, and quite arrogant of me, I thought I can do this better myself. And me and my brother started a digital marketing agency, and about a year in, all of our word of mouth stuff had dried up, and I was desperate for sales, and I dealt with that the way that I know how Brits know how. I got blind drunk and wrote the most absurd cold email I could. And I do remember one thing, which is I was trying to write something that was the complete opposite to what everyone else was sending, because I know what everyone else was sending, and I knew what the etiquette was. And in the morning, I was still tipsy enough to think it was a good idea to send it to very senior people at big brands, and sent it to a few and started getting these amazing complimentary responses in, like saying this is the best cold email ever. And one of them simply read, I remember one of them simply read, my colleague forwarded me your spam email, and we would like to meet you to discuss opportunities, which I just thought was such an oxymoronic sentence. And then I started sending it more and more, and I started booking more meetings with people like Red Bull, PepsiCo, Coca-Cola, Hewlett-Packard, Cisco, Symantec, all the brands you can think of, Barclays, HSBC. I could probably be better off mentioning the brands I didn't have a response from. And I got meetings with people, and I kept sending it, and then I realized, oh, this is just never going to stop. Like, I can just keep sending this to people, and I'm just going to keep getting people going, I have to meet you, or this is the great email. But, yeah, the only thing I couldn't do is find the right time. So some people, they were under contract or they hadn't got budget, but all the responses were positive, and I could just build a sales pipeline out for immediate and for the future. And it was just like, okay. And then we won our first gigantic client, Symantec, and I used the same sort of style to get big journalists at big, massive tech publications to cover them. And I was like, oh, I can just use this universally then. And then I used it to get my friend like 13 job interviews in a completely new sector. I used it to meet someone I looked up to, the vice chair of Ogilvy UK, huge agency, a guy called Rory Sutherland. My first podcast ever, and I got this guy that's very sort of renowned, done a TED talk. And I was like, okay, there's definitely something here, because I keep doing this same. I literally did not change a word of that email for about 3 years because I was nervous. I was like, I found something magic here. And then obviously I realized, okay, I can figure out why this is funny, and I've been able to reverse engineer it, and there's all different influences. And basically I ignored all of the rules of etiquette and stopped putting senior people on a pedestal, and it worked. And I realized, okay, this is what I'm good at. I started a company called Charm Offensive last year, where this is all I do for people. I open up opportunities for them. And then 3 months ago, I started the Facebook group showing my approach. And that's my life story for the last 7 years for you. That's where I come from.
And that Facebook group has just blown up. I mean, it's crazy. Oh, first of all, if you guys find any value in this, please share it out to your friends, because Jon it's really kind of strange how people get spam email all the time. Now Jon sends spam email, but he gets responses, and because he's doing something different. So if you find this of value, please share it out. And I forgot to mention this too. It's like, this is called Disruptive B2B sales, right? This is
something I came up with recently, because I was like, how do I encapsulate what it is? And it's either creative B2B sales, but everyone claims to be creative. So that disruptive, it's disruptive in that it's different. Like, who uses humor to get people's attention, or you can just be clever, but a lot of the time humor is the most effective, and no one's doing that. So I've used disruptive. It's something I'm playing with, creative and disruptive, because no one uses this stuff in B2B. Everyone's focused on having ego and being professional and using jargon, and I do none of those things. I ignore all of the rules, and that's why it does well.
So you know the rules, you just break them.
Yeah. I don't know why they're rules. Who decided these rules? Like, there's one, like, keep your cold emails short. That rule is there because, if you can't write, keep it short. If you're going to write something shit, keep it short. So, like, I ignore all those rules. I don't see why they exist. Like, obviously there's some that you stick to. You don't got to be offensive or, stuff like that. But I don't see why those rules deserve to be there, and I've proved they don't need to exist. So I'm not going not going to stick by them.
And that's so true because I get short emails from people and I get long emails from people, but it's usually like that first one or two sentences that's going to decide if I'm going to read the whole email. And sometimes I will read, I'm like, oh my God, I've been reading this email for 10 minutes. I don't have time for this. But I was entertained enough that I made time for it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, if you're entertaining, you can. If you can captivate people, you can write something long. And I remember when I went on I got on the Kevin Rogers podcast, and I didn't know he's a big name in copywriting and marketing. I had no idea at the time. I heard his podcast and I liked it. And he went through it line by line, and he said, you kept winning my attention. Like I say something funny, and then I'll do a little pitch because I've got the grace period, and then I'll make you laugh again, and then I'm going to pitch again. So it's like I sort of hide behind the humor. You can do anything. If you start and they're laughing, you can pitch, and then you can make them laugh again, then you can pitch. So you're just earning people's attention all the way through. And if you've got enough of those, you can do loads. If it's just a pitch, unless you've got some transformational, amazing product, you're going to struggle. But with humor, you can, if you're funny, you can get away with almost anything, even cold email.
Okay. Well, so now the name, Charm Offensive. I remember I mentioned to you, I said, yeah, it's charming and he's offensive too, but that's not what it's about. No,
Charm Offensive is, it's in common parlance here. It means to launch a charm offensive. So a member of parliament here could try and convince all of his other MPs to agree with him on something using a charm offensive, or it's basically a deliberate plan to sort of charm someone or some institution or some group, and I just liked it. And I like the duality of meaning that charm and offensive don't really go together. It's the term, it's an action term. You launch a charm offensive on someone, and it's also out of place in the business world. You wouldn't expect a sort of business related group to be called something like that. So I liked it on all fronts. I've always wanted a company called this, and I finally got one.
You have it registered and everything?
Yeah.
Official.
Yeah, it's an awesome name. We've got a question about the original email, and you can find that on the Charm Offensive group. It's on there. It might be in the pinned post, or there's a link to the letter. It's got a version of it when I started sending it as a letter, but it's the same copy. So if you go on Charm Offensive, you can find it there.
Yeah, I forget sometimes to look at the comments, so apologize for that, everybody.
Sorry, it came up big.
Good thing you're looking. I'm trying to look at the camera, So, but yeah, that email, oh my gosh, and it is long. It's a long email, but it is really reading through it. It truly is brilliance. So what does this tell me? This tells me, make sure I get bloody drunk before I write an email.
Or just if you don't want to do that, I think record yourself. For you, I imagine record yourself what you want the letter to be, and then transcribe it and edit it from there. It might be easier than where. For me, it's just I write stuff and then I'm like, it just comes natural. This is just how I write. But if it's not, maybe recording it first, or getting drunk, or get drunk and record it. Or but if you're not a drinker, then maybe recording your voice is the healthier option.
Because, I have invented so many things when I've been a little toasty, So some of the best ideas come from that. Actually, so many songs have been written from people who are under the influence. So not that we're condoning this at all, of course.
Not at all.
Yes, drinking your beer. Well, yeah, so it really is great. So, so Ange says, great idea. I like that idea too. The idea for me, because I speak naturally, right? Because I'm speaking. But when I write, there's some kind of block that has me go into a different mode. And it's like I'm a different person. And so, why not just learn how to write like I speak? Yeah. And instead of trying to be all not that I'm trying to be impressive or anything, but I'm trying to make sure I don't have any grammatical errors. And you sent me something the other day. Yeah, I'm
no, stop proofreading. By the way, I'm not. Looks like I'm underwater. I've just come and I've had a shower a few minutes ago, which is why I'm drenched.
You're supposed to say I just ran a marathon.
No, I stuck on a bus and I had to have a shower and then I did this. Oh, the other thing you can do is, this might help, it might not, is write it out with a pen or pencil. That might change it a little bit. It's something else to try. Like if you write something with a pen. You remember pens, right? And paper. You remember pens. So yeah, there you go.
I do own a book.
Yeah, so maybe that will help. It might not, but if not, record it. And just do it a lot. Like, you know, and also just imagine you're writing to a friend. You wouldn't write a friend a really formal
right
letter. Yeah. That's something else you could do, is pretend you're doing that. Yeah, those are some things that would work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that'll be good. I'll try that immediately. Yeah. Ange says, you know, wine and video. Great idea. Great combo. Well, it would be a good idea, right? So you can do, you know, I don't know. I'm not condoning it, but I might try it just to see what comes out, because you never know. Because you get more relaxed, you know, when you've had a little glass of wine, and just to see, for me, just to see if it can relax me enough to unlock that part of my brain, the critical part of, you know, making sure the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. Yeah. The I's are crossed and the
another one I find, and this is more for me. It's more for ideas. I find when I like, I'll go a walk and I'll have music on loop, or I'll walk at, you know, a decent pace, or if you go any kind of exercise. But for me, I just go on like sort of walks. That you're away from the computer, you're away from your email, you're away from, you know, your to-do list. That might help as well. I think if you're trying to write something and you've got all these things popping up, and your email you got to check, and you got your invoices and your deadlines, getting away from it and just going on a sort of a walk or doing some exercise, that might help as well. To do that, and then try and write something. So get away from the computer, maybe. I find I have some of my best ideas for like things that I never would have thought of if I just sat there and tried to think of them. They just don't come to you. Those kind of creative ideas, but I have them when I'm just walking around. It'll just come and I'll be like, oh God, I'm noting that down, and then I can work on it, you know, sort of more methodically when I get back in. That might work.
So you'll take like a notepad or something with a pen?
I'll have my phone, and I email myself a lot, or I put it in my notes, or you can take a pad with you everywhere. And I find that, yeah, when I get my best ideas for things when I'm just walking, and ideas about all sorts of things. And I just don't think you can, if you just like sit down and try and do it, often it's more difficult. Those good ideas come when you're not studiously waiting for them, you know, forcing them out. So.
Hey, have you heard of that new, there's some kind of like note-taking thing that they have in the shower nowadays? Have you heard of that?
Not.
It's like just not a notepad, but a thing where you can, kind of like a blackboard, you know, a whiteboard, and then you can write things in your, because, you know, a lot of creative
yeah, because that's a classic thing, shower thoughts. Yeah. And then by the time I got out of the shower, I forgot my thoughts. Yeah.
Yeah, see,
it's dangerous, the electronics in the shower.
I guess I've heard there was this one girl, I think this is how this was invented now I think about it, is that this one girl, she'd have all these great ideas when she's in the shower, and she'd go, hey honey, can you make a note of blah, blah, blah? And then he'd take a note, and then, can you take a note of this? I just had a great idea. And then, so I think that's how that whole thing was created, so that she could write down her own ideas when she had them.
Yeah. But yeah, the best ideas come when you're probably not at the computer. And but you can later work on them more methodically later on. So that was my
question. So you reached out to, you know, these really large brands, you know, and you met with them. And at that time, what was your like? What were you hoping to do? Were you hoping to write for them, or what were you hoping?
No. Because I'm not a copywriter. Like, I never refer to myself as that, because I never studied copywriting. We had a digital marketing agency, so it was things like online advertising, search engine optimization, some social media consultancy, that kind of stuff. So we were trying to get projects like that. And our small agency had no business being in the room with brands like this, to be honest. But because I made them laugh, there you go, foot in the door. That's all it takes. There's never been a better time to be in business. You can achieve anything you want. And because it's at the end of the day, all it is people. And you put people on a pedestal, like people are like, oh, it can't be funny to the CEO of such and such. And I'm like, why did he become the CEO of like Red Bull and go, you know what? I'm the CEO of Red Bull now. I don't like to laugh anymore. Like, that's ridiculous. It's just people. And that's one of the objections I always get is, oh, that's all well and good for you in marketing, John, but it won't work on senior IT people. And then I'm like, yeah, I already did that, and it did. It won't work on luxury brands. Yeah, it does. It works on people. You can't pigeonhole people based on a job title. The only caveat I give usually is other languages, like other cultures maybe, like some Asian countries where saving face is a big thing. So you're not meant to be self-deprecating. That's the only caveat I give, is that sometimes some things might not translate there, but that's the only one I've thought of. Outside of that, it's humor's going to work for you, and being human is it just works because no one else is being human. So let's change that.
I need to start being human again. Yes,
Yeah.
and says, people love humor. It breaks down barriers. Well, that's one of the recommendations. Is one of the first things you want to do when you go like speak on stage or doing a video or something is to say something that's going to break that ice.
Yeah.
Because it's something about the brain, right? When we laugh, it lowers our defenses, and that's what you want. You want the defenses lowered so that they will actually listen to you.
Yeah. Well, there's a nervous tension there when someone goes on stage, and you can break that by even saying something simple like, oh my God, I'm nervous. If you say that, everyone's like, no one's going to be like, oh God, this guy. No, it's really hard to be annoyed at someone, or unless you're a jerk, to be annoyed at someone that's been really honest and sort of meek. And if you can make it funny, even better. But even if you can't be funny, because that's pressure. Now I've got to go up and be funny. But even just being honest, like that immediately lowers the barriers. People are gonna. It's endearing, and it's definitely, if you can make people laugh though, it's even better. So there are ways of doing that. There's like formulas you can use to introduce yourself that are really simple that you can remember, and you'll get a laugh because people are waiting for that tension to be broken. So
yeah, that's for sure.
So I can give one away.
Here's Brandon. Good tip. Yeah, Brandon's in my mastermind group, and he's awesome. And so, some really great information here, Brandon. Make sure you share it with the group. I did share it in the group, in my mastermind group as well. I shared it all over the place. This is also going to go on my YouTube channel. Awesome. And John, I just think it's really great what you're doing. And is there anything, let me see, first of all, I put up on the screen how they can join the group. This will take you to.
That's the like one of my products. That's good, but the Facebook, for the Facebook URL in.
But this one here though, because I clicked on it, and then you have your little Facebook.
If you go on there, you can click on the fact. I forgot about that. You know my sales page better than me.
It looks good, by the way, and it has that really weird looking L on it, like pounds or something. I don't know how to translate that kind of money.
Yeah, you got rid of that pounds a few hundred years ago.
Oh yeah, you guys using like euro? What kind of money you guys use nowadays?
Oh no, it's still our pound sterling. We've still got it.
Yeah, we got rid of pounds a long time ago, a couple hundred years ago. Yeah. So what would be your number one tip? Okay, so I know about the humor, going in with humor, and just being yourself, right? Is that because like you said, people are people, and the thing is, if you write to them in your own voice, like you really are as a human being, when they meet you in person, they're going to meet the same person that wrote to them.
Yeah.
Oh, I got to remind myself that.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's always been my worry is people are going to look at my letter or email and just copy it and edit little bits. I'm like, yeah, but if they meet you, they're going to quickly realize you didn't write that. If that's not your personality, they're going to go, okay, this isn't congruent. People aren't. So I always say, make it your personality. There is a rhythm there that works. There is a cadence that works, but make it your personality. And I remember I gave this example before, but I remember I sent my ebook to someone because they were, I don't know, they posted something about struggling to get clients or something. And as I do, I just message people and go, here you go, here's the ebook. I usually charge for this, but I'll send it you. And she got a meeting with one of her clients that she really wanted to meet with. And I said, can you show me the email you sent? And she'd made it into her own, and it was the most, I call it the most like you go girl version of my template. She just totally made it her own. And you could only because I wrote the original could you tell that it was a version of it. And so that's a big thing, is use your personality. Like I can use my absurd, ridiculous sense of humor without my emails, but I wouldn't do that for certain clients. And it's a good advice. Use your personality as a weapon. That's definitely good. The other piece of advice, if there are brands that you really want to work with, like there are certain prospects you really want to work with, do some research on LinkedIn and you can tailor it a little bit more. Like if you can see that you share an interest, genuinely share an interest, don't pretend that you like kayaking. Like, don't do that. But if you genuinely do, put that in. So that would be a piece of advice, is use your personality, do your research, make it funny, and it will work.
So I have a not so funny story about that, and that is with my first husband. I liked everything he liked. Yeah. And I hated everything he hated, just because I wanted to get along. And see how that worked out. I mean, it's ex-husband, right? So it's the same thing when you're talking to people and corporations. And like Ange has this question. She's got an email she needs to send to CEOs of elite sports. So what would you advise? Now, Ange's business, she's a consultant, like a coaching kind of person. And you might want to be a little more clear, Ange, on exactly what you do. But what kind of advice do you have for her?
Show your enthusiasm. Like, first off, you can have a look at my template, and that will give you an idea of a cadence, a rhythm that works. I always say, call out the elephant in the room in that first line. So I started a lot of my emails. If I've got no reason to email someone, and I've just got their data from a list, like I've bought a list of marketing directors, that first line will say, greetings, first name. You've never heard of me. Hi, I'm John. I got your data from a list. Gasp, but hey, at least you're list worthy. That's got to be worth something, right? So who starts an email with, I got your data from a list, and then complimented them like, well, at least you've made it. You're on a list. You know, you should be good about it. Who starts with that? No, most emails start with, do you have this problem? Like, who starts a conversation like that? Whereas I go in with, I got your data from a list. Like, I've got that over with. So call out the elephant in the room. And other things, like if you're really dying to meet someone, say it. Like, don't be afraid to say, I would go to Neptune to meet with you. So just say it. Like, people, that's going to have far more of a better reaction than that formal approach. And make it, the other big thing that works is, so make someone laugh with you, or be really honest. You can get your pitch in then. Is when you make requests, you can hide it with humor. So I've got one where I say, if you agree to meet with me, I will take you for lunch or coffee or tequila shots, and I promise to be somewhat entertaining. I may even wear a top, if you're lucky, I may even wear a top hat. First off, I'd just like to give you some ideas you're free to steal. So that person, and I got feedback on this, she said, I met with you because I knew I wasn't going to get hard sold to. Like, if anything, I was going to be able to take ideas from you. So if you can make them, sort of realize that, he's not just going to pitch to me. Actually, I might get something from him. That's a much better way of doing it. And I do all this all the time. Like, you can disguise things with humor. So that's an example of, I've asked a request there, but I've asked it in a way nobody else has asked it, and disguised it with humor. Another one is like, I'll say, like, rather predictably, I'd like to have a call with you. Those two words at the start, rather predictably, no one else says that. So there's little disguises when you're making requests. Another one is if you agree to have a call with me, I may even sweeten the deal by telling you some useless trivia that will be borderline fascinating. And again, I'm asking for a call there, but I'm asking it in a way that nobody else is. So he's just hiding these little requests, and it works incredibly well.
I love it. I love it. It's so funny because those are things that I would say to people, not exactly those exact terms, but I would say that to people. So do you ever cross the line of just using the last word, offensive? Do you ever cross that line, or no?
I'm never offensive. I always poke humor at myself, or I'm silly. It's hard to be offended by that. What people get wrong is their humor comes off as arrogant. Like, don't mock like celebrities, because this person might like a celebrity that you don't like. So don't do that. Don't make humor with like really, really like niche references that you and like 100 people know, but the rest of the world doesn't know about. Like they'll make fun of something, you know, they'll reference something that it's like not many people know about that. So poke fun at yourself. Like no one, you can't offend anyone with that. And I'm not about offending anyone. It's like,
yeah,
it's not. There's no point to that. Like it's for me is I want them to enjoy it. And a great way to end as well. I always love this line is I await your profanity-filled response, which is just such a good. Because like most people will just laugh at that line, but everyone else. Anyone that was thinking of replying angrily will read that and go, I'm not doing what you told me. You know the type of person that's going to reply angrily. They're going to read that line and they'll go, I'm not doing what are you going to tell me to do? So I love that line is it makes 99% of people laugh. And then the jerk 1% won't send me a message because I've already told them I await your profanity-filled response. It's a clever little reverse psychology.
I love it. And you know, there was something you shared the other day. Oh, Ange says, great interview, Linda. Thank you. Props to Linda. Thank you. So inspiring. This speaks to me. It's so awesome, isn't it, Ange? I just had to have Jon on. I mean, I only met you 3 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago at that. And then we started chatting online. And, you know, that's the beauty of Facebook. If you have an opportunity to really, really meet somebody and get to know them. And then, you know, I started sending him messages like, you know, speaking because I got tired of writing. And so, you know, so we started that, but it was just really great, you know, getting to meet you. And, that's one thing I wanted to share because you mentioned mentioning people's names because they might not know that person. And that's so true because like I live in my own little world and I know the people that I know and I might know somebody who is famous in my world.
Yeah.
But to somebody else's world, like they're like, no, I've never. Sometimes I'll go places and they'll go, so how many of you have heard of John Smith? Well, that's probably a common name. Actually, I don't know anybody's name. I don't know anybody named John Smith, come to think of it. So how many of you have heard of John Smith? And nobody raises their hand. I'm like, oh my gosh, here I thought that everybody knew.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
That's a great.
I get that all the time. People mention like gurus and things. I'm like, I don't know any of this. Like I know I know Gary. Obviously, I know Gary V. But like other than that, like I don't know anyone else. And people are like, how do you not know? I was like, I don't like follow lots of people. So yeah, you gotta realize that they might be really important to you, but outside of our little internet marketing and, you know, social media bubble, yeah, the awareness goes right down for sure.
Okay, so let me ask you, I'm getting feedback. Do you hear my feedback?
No.
Okay, good. So what I wanted to ask you is, you have, sorry. Where do you find your list?
Either you can buy them, like a lot of the time I used to buy them and there's various places you can purchase, or you can scrape your own with things like hunter.io or there's various different sites. Hunter is one of them. And also you can outsource it. So on Upwork, you can find people that will create lists for you. And then the other way is using LinkedIn Sales Navigator. And then a tool, one of the scraping tools, or just outsource it to the Philippines. Or there are companies, if you look, I don't want to recommend any in particular, but you can buy data. And then obviously, usual caveats there, do your research, look the company up, make sure they've got a good reputation, all that kind of stuff.
Okay, and then what do you look for? Sorry, I get this feedback when I talk. What are you hoping for your future? What do you see happening, say, 5 years down the line?
I don't think that far forward. Like I don't plan 3 months forward. Like I have, because I always say I don't have goals. I have systems. Like I have systems that are always running that get me success and they take me forward. But I don't have like long-term goals. Until like 3 months ago, I never decided like, oh, I really want to try. No, I was like, I'm going to try this on a whim, and like starting the Facebook group, and I had no expectations. And if you do that, you can't fail, but you can succeed. And that's a marvelous little trick that you can do. Is if you have no expectations, there's no way for you to fail, but you can do well. Like, and I've got the same with all sorts of things. And I learned this from cognitive behavioral therapy, which is to have preferences, not demands. So it'll be like, it would be nice for this to happen, or I'd like this to happen, not this must happen. And when you're able to change that from having demands to preferences, life is a lot less anxious and irritating, because no one has the power to force their dreams to come true. So I don't have like real specific goals. I have lots of things that I want to happen, and I know that I can keep rolling the dice, and a few of them will work. And if you just keep doing that, you're going to see success. And it might not be the most efficient system in the world, but it works for me. I don't like complexity. I like simple things that I can keep doing, and that's one of them. So for me at the moment, I can say I do have sort of broad things I want to happen, and then all the good things that I said were going to kind of happen are happening right now. I would say I'd say I can't quite believe it, but I did. And the next 3 months, I've got this course coming out, which I know is going to help so many people. And I'm going to have that. I'm going to launch that. I know I'm going to get testimonials from it of people doing great. I'm going to write a book. I'm not going to give the title away, but I've got a book that I'm writing. I'm going to get that out there. And I know that that's going to be successful, because when you get to a certain level of having a following and you know that it's growing all the time, as long as you're putting out good stuff, and I've got 2 great things I'm putting out, I know that they're going to work and they're going to help people. And that's the one thing that's been the greatest of the last 3 months, is I've just been able to help more and more people in a very real way. People getting their first nice response, or their first client, or their met with a dream client. And that's all well and good, but I'm taking that further now. I'm giving away every, I was jotting it down today, and I was realizing all the little tiny things I do that are just reflexes for me. And I'm packaging that up. And that's my big goal at the moment, is to make that a success. You've gone off camera, by the way.
It was intentional.
Oh, why? Oh, okay. It was just my pitch. So, yeah, the course is next, and the book after that. And I'm going to make both of those a success. I don't have any time goals for that, but if it happens sooner, it happens later. And basically, I'm just going to I'm enjoying myself more than I ever have in business. This doesn't feel like work. And
now the course, though, you've launched the course, no?
No. It's one I've just put it together. The outline of it today.
Okay.
So I've got like templates and things for sale, but I never put anything concrete together, because until now, I've been one of those people that, like, I check my email all the time, and I check my notifications all the time, and I just never get anything done. And I realized today, like, no, I'm just going to, just this last few weeks, and especially this week, no, I'm going to not look at my email. I'm going to turn my news feed off. I'm going to turn my notifications off. I'm going to turn my mobile phone notifications off. And I've got so much more done. It's like, no, I'll check my email once a day. And I've got so much more done. And I'm going to put this, I got the outline of the course done, the deck done. And I'm going to have it done in the next week. And I can start selling it. And I'll do the same with the book. And so, yeah, that's another big realization I've had lately, is just don't be a slave to your inbox or your notifications. And I'm going to keep doing more of the things that I enjoy doing and that are going to propel me forward. Yeah. And, you know, I'm going to control the agenda rather than everyone else trying to get my attention on my email. So I'm just rabbling on at the moment.
You've got a beta tester.
Yeah, there's many of those. Awesome. Yeah, go for it. Just keep do it with all sorts of CEOs, not just one company or different. Just the more people you try and approach, the more people you'll have success with. So message for new people every day, and you're never going to run out of people to contact. That's what I tell people. You're never going to run out of people to contact. So just keep contacting new people and trying to get business that way, and you will have success. As long as you...
That's a great point, because you never know. Like, if you reach out to somebody that you hadn't intended on reaching out to, that could be the big fish for you. You just don't know, because you've limited yourself to the people you want to reach out to.
And also, this isn't always the case, but sometimes I never have assumptions anymore, because I usually get things wrong, which is like, oh, I really want to work with them. That'd be great to work with. And then they're a royal pain. And then the people are like, oh, I don't really want to work with them. I bet they haven't got budget. And then they got loads of budget, and they're the best to work with. So all these little assumptions, you're not always right. Most of the time, I'm wrong about this. Where I'm like, I really want to work with them, and I'm like, oh, they were a pain. So there we go. I got a conversion. If you go join the group, if you join Charm Offensive, there is a post about it. I haven't got a waiting list or anything like that up yet, but I'm going to. There's a post about it, and I'm going to launch a application for it in the next week. So if you look at Charm Offensive, you'll see the post about it, and I'll be putting more information there. And if you join up for my group and put your email address in, you'll be on my email list, and you'll no doubt get notified about it more than you'd like.
No, but it's great. And the group is filled with amazing people. There's more than 3,000 in there. I don't know. Yesterday, I think it was over 3,000. You might be over 4,000. But it's going fast. The people are learning a lot in that group. It is a free Facebook group, and you'll be launching this course. This book will be coming out soon. We don't know the name of it, of course, because he doesn't know the name of it.
No, I know the name, but I don't want to steal it. Sorry?
I'm really looking forward to your book coming out.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, it's a good title. I'm worried someone will steal it because it's clever.
Of course it is.
Got it. So I'm modest, really.
Okay. Well, you have another beer, and then maybe you won't be as modest.
Okay, if you insist, I will.
I do insist. Well, after you run that marathon, you gotta enjoy yourself.
Yeah, you gotta replenish. You gotta hydrate.
Exactly. Well, Jon, I want to thank you for coming on my show and sharing with everybody. And you guys, please join us in the Charm Offensive, his Facebook group. If you go to this website right here, there is a little Facebook link there. Click on that, and it'll take you straight to Charm Offensive. And maybe he'll check you over and see if you're worthy or not of being in the group. Hey, give him a few days, though, because he does approve everybody himself right now. And so give him a few days to go ahead and approve you to be in the group. And we look forward to seeing you all there. And what kind of parting words would you like to share with us, Jon?
Let me end with the quote I'm trying to just say into existence, which is the right words in the right order to the right people can get you anywhere in life. And I like that because it makes me sound somewhat clever. But and also join my group.
Yes.
There you go.
The right word.
The right words in the right order to the right people can get you anywhere in life, or almost anywhere in life.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Thank you guys for joining us. So, Ange, we'll see you in the group. Go ahead and click on there and join us in the group. And then I'll probably bring Jon on in the 6 months when he's got like 80,000 people in this group. How everything's changed. Okay, have a great day.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.